the way Singapore wakes up.
Wake up,
Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman.
wake up in the morning feeling like
Kiss 92's Big Show.
Good morning, Singapore. Welcome to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. TGIF, we're so happy to have our very good friend. He's like family to us. I mean, we knew him even before the Covid-19 pandemic. He is the one and only Dr. Leong Hoe Nam, infectious disease specialist from the Rofi Clinic.
Good morning! Kiss 92 fans, great to be on the show and always great to be here. I just love it when we all go crazy.
I love the energy. Fantastic for bringing that in, Doc.
Welcome.
I tell you what went crazy. COVID-19 went crazy.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it took away like 2-3 years of our lives. What is the COVID-19 situation like right now? Because we hear things like, oh, you know, COVID cases are going up and all that. Is that cause for concern?
Okay, no cause for concern, but we must be prepared that we have a gentle rise in numbers. And COVID-19 must stay on with us. Okay, it's just like the PSLE. It will never leave Singapore. Okay, so every year we're going to get cases of COVID. And every time when they change the syllabus of the PSLE, everyone suffers. And every time when the virus changes, we will suffer because you're going to have a little bump. So
Right.
those people who can't make it because your immunity is not very good, or you're a bit elderly, or you're a bit out of touch with a revision. When I say revision in terms of a recent vaccination or recent infection, then you fall sick again. But the good news is all of us are grounded in good training and teaching, and that comes in the form of immunizations.
Right.
So when you're grounded in immunizations, and on top of that you had your infections, you have what we call the hybrid immunity. With a hybrid immunity, most of us should do fine. But unfortunately, there are going to be casualties. So the casualties are the usual group, the elderly, those who are immunocompromised, you might be diabetic, or you may even simply have heart problems. If you have heart problems, every time we have a COVID-19, it's like a stress worse than being on the Kiss 92 program.
wait, why?
You're not stressed, please.
You don't seem stressed at all.
Well, with so many lovely people and two angels, one in a real person, the other in voice. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay, it is stressful.
Bring it on,
You
Doc.
came armed with compliments. I love it.
So with the stress of each infection, in turn, you could actually end up with a heart attack and have a stroke. And I'll tell you something which is really mind-boggling. For those people who are suffering diabetics or not known to be diabetics, and you had your COVID-19, did you not realize that your sugars went up a little bit?
Oh, right.
Because even for kids or adults, the virus actually attacks the pancreas. So your ability to make insulin, which is the counter hormone for diabetes, comes down. So if you're already at risk, guess what? Your diabetes is going to be a bit worse. If you are not at risk, it could just crash out your pancreas and you start requiring insulin. So you see, COVID-19 is not just another flu. It's not another cold. But every time it hits you, it takes something away from you. It could be your heart attack, it could be a diabetes, or it could be a stroke. Okay? But so Dr. Tedros, the chief of WHO, says something best. The best thing with COVID-19 is don't get infected.
Yeah, I mean, prevention is the best, right?
Prevention is the best. There are a lot of downstream things. Many of us had it well, but some of us will fall in the ranks.
No, carry on.
So the second thing about, if you really cannot, you have to fall sick, then arm yourself with all the defenses. And this is why the Ministry of Health is coming up forwards and say, get yourself vaccine updated. And I would really, really encourage everyone to get yourself vaccine updated so that we can minimize the risk of falling sick. If you don't fall sick, then we won't end up with all these downstream problems. It is not a common cold, because when does the common cold give you that? Diabetes. Some of the common colds that influenza cause are heart attack and strokes, but their numbers are no way. In fact, the recent study published at the beginning of this year says the mortality from COVID is still 5 times. You see my big 5 times higher than that of influenza. So no way, it's not now. Perhaps 2 to 3 years down the road, but at this point in time, everyone's at risk. Now, healthcare workers like me are just like the same as the Kiss 92 staff. We don't want to work.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh.
Hey, I love my
we,
job.
we love coming in. No. Please.
What you trying to say?
I'm just trying to tell. Okay. So the thing is, we want to have a lesser workload every day at work.
Yes.
Okay, and if you have less attendees coming in with the cough, runny nose, or even the bad cases, I've had patients who heart failed totally with COVID-19. It was so traumatizing.
Oh my goodness.
It was emotion
That is scary.
damage. Okay, this is emotionally damaging. So I would really encourage everyone, try to just don't fall sick with COVID-19. If you have to, make it milder so that it'd be much easier for all of us.
All right, let's continue to talk to Dr. Leong Hoe Nam, infectious disease specialist from the Rofi Clinic on The Big Show TV. Here's Elton John featuring Britney Spears, Hold Me Closer on KISS 92. Okay,
So,
No. Angel's
I
got the
wanted to
question.
ask you. So you said, try not to catch COVID-19.
Yes.
Right? I mean, at the very best, we don't want to fall sick anyway. But nowadays, there's the influenza A, influenza B, COVID-19, RSV, adeno, this and that. Without the doctor, because I just recently had something, but nobody tested me for anything. Without the doctor doing that, do we have to ask, or is it no longer mandatory for them to test whether you have COVID-19 or not, with the symptoms all being there?
Okay, so it's not mandatory for you to do testing.
Okay.
But if you're 50 years old and above, you have conditions like diabetes, heart problems, etc., I encourage you to test so that you can actually get the Paxlovid almost for free. Almost for free.
Right. So the doctor doesn't have to test
Doesn't have to
unless
do it.
you ask.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are many clinics as well as the polyclinics that offer free. I use the word free in inverted commas for COVID-19 treatment. That's the Paxlovid and Molnupiravir. You take it and you really recover much faster. So I've got a 60-odd-year-old woman who took it. And day one, she was miserable. Okay, she won't be able to even tune into Kiss 92. And by day three, she says, "Tennis, anyone?" This is how good the drug is. You really release the symptoms.
So it's a shot.
No, it's not. It's actually two medications which you take twice a day, quite a bit of pills, but practically everyone goes through it like a walk in the park.
I love pills.
What's it called?
Can I have some?
So we have a drug called Paxlovid, Paxlovid. I think not everyone here is entitled to the medication.
Oh, right. Okay.
But
Why?
certain, it's an age criteria.
Oh, right. Okay.
Then
I got.
the
You
second,
got everything.
but our
Confident.
parents will.
Okay.
Our
Yeah.
parents will. So if for our parents, I'm the sort who doesn't really want to visit that off my schedule. So if they fall sick with COVID-19, I'll really find a clinic that offers the medications, take him there, he takes the medication, and you know he's going to be much better. And the earlier you start the treatment, the better it is.
Your clinic has it, right?
No, my
No?
clinic doesn't have it. I don't offer it almost for free.
Okay.
Please go down to what you can do is flugoware.gov.sg, flugoware.gov.sg, enter the postcode, find the clinics, give a call and check that they have it.
Okay.
Flu go where?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is before it was like COVID go
Yeah.
where, mask go where, everything
Yeah.
go where.
Are there side effects? Because, if you keep taking medication, you get immune to it, right?
Not really for this COVID-19 virus. Okay, so when you take medications to get immune to it, it refers to antibiotics, because as you take antibiotics, the bacteria inside you will change as well. But for COVID-19 virus treatment, it only kills COVID virus and practically nothing else.
But practically means there might be side effects.
No. Okay, let's talk about we are talking about different things now. So side effects, the most common side effects is that you may have a bit of loose stools, you may have a bit of distaste in your tongue, but this happens with COVID-19 as well. But after that, it's fine. You end up with a little bit of these problems, which is very tolerable, and you end up with a much better recovery and a much lower risk of heart attacks, etc.
Rather than ride out the COVID.
Right, don't write it out. There is a better way. In other words, you can walk all the way to Changi and the hotspot, or that you can take almost a free treatment, which is a nice cab, limo style, that will take you all the way to Changi at the courtesy of MOH. So
Does it have like lights and sound as well? Or?
Wow, your ability to give analogies is quite amazing.
That's why we love him so much.
I know, I love it.
I've got another one coming. You're going to love me for that.
Okay, so
Eddie.
I've got this question. COVID is evolving. We keep hearing of these different strains. how has the vaccine evolved? Because if COVID is evolving, shouldn't the vaccine have evolved as well? You're talking about vaccine updates.
Yep, absolutely. So the virus has been evolving and everyone tries to outrun and outdo each other. So imagine a race, and the one that can transmit across and faster, better transmission, or can evade the existing immunity, then they win the race and it becomes the number one. So we do have one new one that's coming up, but the ability is only slightly better. So the virus has been circulating around for the last few months, and it's only recently they started being the number one virus, and it's only minimally elevated.
Has it got a name yet?
It does have a name. No, it does have a name. It does have a name, but I must admit I can't remember.
Okay, all right.
Okay, fair enough.
So we do have viruses, and I'm very sure in the next 3 months, 6 months, there'll be at least 2 or 3 other contenders that will beat the existing one. They want to go to the situation where they can transmit within 1 day, fall sick within 1 day. So that's great. That's
Wow.
great for the virus.
So we started with the Delta. Well, one of the first
Actually,
few was the
Alpha,
Delta.
original, then after Alpha,
And then beta and all that. Does that mean that once all those have passed, and now I don't know what new virus or new strain this is now, all the others don't exist anymore?
No, we still have the Omicron, but it's just a descendant of Omicron.
Or the Deltas and all that are no longer
Now,
around?
the Deltas, all those have gone away
Okay.
and have left the station. Now, very importantly,
Dr. Leong, let's go on air.
Okay.
And, continue.
I want to ask too.
I also got. You guys asked many questions.
Yes,
already.
we have. Yeah.
You never put up
Oh,
your
yeah,
hand.
let's-
Well,
Say I do, I do, I do, I do, I do, I do love you.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Well, you've got the usual delays across the expressways. The KJE towards the PIE, a vehicle broken down after Sungai Tengah. PIE towards Tuas, a vehicle broken down after the BKE. Please stay within the speed limit. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning, Singapore. Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for this morning is Dr. Leong Hoe Nam, infectious disease specialist from the Rofi Clinic. And I'm just going to go straight into it. Dr. Leong, I want the latest COVID-19 vaccination.
That's
What
not a
is it?
question, Glenn.
No, it's
Oh,
not a
what is
question.
it?
No, he
Okay,
said,
okay.
what is it? Is
You
the
know,
question.
I just want to be protected, right?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes my problem is I don't ask many questions. You know, I mean, if I go to someone like you and I go, please, you know, give me the latest vaccination. I mean, as long as it's safe, you ask me the relevant questions, I'll sign the relevant forms. You know, as long as it protects me from the virus, I'm happy.
Okay, so we have the bivalent now, and before that we have the original strain of vaccines. Unfortunately, those two don't really work very well
Oh.
because the virus has adapted, mutated, evolved against the immunity which you have. So, and we have the new one that's going to be shortly available in a matter of weeks, and it's called the XBB variant COVID vaccine, and that will be effective against the circulating strains now. Now, again, many people will respond differently to the vaccines. Some people cope very well and then they won't fall sick at all. Some of them, well, can't. It's like a tutor teaching us. You just can't get it in. And in turn, they may still fall sick, but at least they end up much milder. Having a little bit of tuition, a bit of revision in the vaccine will help very much. So if everyone were to do their jobs, then the number of people falling sick with COVID will be much lesser. Now, I'm going to ask you, you see, honestly, everyone here save our dear old. He called himself
FD.
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Yeah, I did
Has a
once.
few dear
Yeah, I
He's
did
the
once.
grandpa of the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Okay. So as everyone said, grandpa here. We're honestly very, very young people, and many people. Kids 92 looks for the youngest people. The youngest people listen to this station, right? Everyone on listening station, we are young. Okay. So coming. So we are young. Do we really need the COVID vaccine? I'll tell you the biggest problem with COVID virus is not so much the heart attack and the stroke and the diabetes. It's something which I don't even wish on the worst enemy.
What?
And that's long COVID.
Oh.
Long COVID occurs at a risk of about 5 to 30%. I think for us, for the Asians, it's about 5% to 10%. We don't have official figures. When you have long COVID, you feel tired, you can't get out, as you have a horrible hangover that refuses to go away, and it just goes on and on and on.
So it doesn't constitute. So I had COVID for 11 days. I would say that's long COVID. No.
My
No.
husband had the
No,
effects
no.
for like 3 months.
Yes, that's more
lung,
like
lung
it.
Definitely
scarring
not that
as
kind
well.
of long COVID.
Yeah,
long
not
COVID
days.
as in like
Months.
Repercussions.
years.
Months.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yes.
imagine a person who runs 5 kilometers every day. He's going to have problems getting out of it.
Right.
And if your usual task which you can do, like how FD read the news, read
Breathless.
you get breathless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't do this. So much effort to just read about the traffic.
Right.
And if you were to do a simple mathematics, which you could do at the snap of hands, what's 1 plus 5 times 10?
Brain fog.
Oh, yeah, it's actually 51. Gotcha.
Right. I asked him what is $1.80 plus 80 cents. He couldn't
couldn't
answer
get-
me this morning.
I
Maybe
don't
he
watch
has
Sesame
COVID.
Street.
Okay, so it is the COVID's fault. It's not him. So if anyone can't think straight, just say it's COVID.
Blame it
It's
on COVID.
Yeah, I'm having long COVID.
Oh my goodness.
So at the end of the day, when we actually get COVID, we are actually playing Russian roulette. There's a 5 to 10%, well, 5 to 10%, I think, locally, where you have a shot at getting long COVID. And when that happens, you'll be knocked out. And really boils down to this question: can you afford to fall sick?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can't afford to fall sick, I can't because I have to work.
Yeah.
So this is FD here. FD has made his millions. He can
Yeah.
afford to
For
fall
sure.
sick.
He doesn't
Exactly,
talk
yeah,
about it.
yep.
Yeah.
Don't look at us like that.
Yeah.
All we need to do is call
You're
the
not a very good
IRAS
actor.
and
No, no.
ask them to investigate.
You're not
That's
very
all.
good.
Yeah, that's it. Daphne and Angel, they are achieving their millions. So you still have to take the shot.
Okay. Wait.
Glenn, you have
Nothing.
spent your millions. No! So you have to carry
spending.
forward.
Wait, by millions we mean health or
No, money.
No,
Oh,
money.
we actually
Daphne.
mean money.
That you
Yes.
still need to work, so you can't afford to get sick. That's why
Right,
he's saying
got
you
you,
can't
got
afford
you.
to get sick. Yeah.
But can I just ask you this very quickly, okay? Because I had COVID for 9 days. You had COVID for 11 days. Now,
yeah.
I got it from my wife, okay? I sacrificed myself.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
So, 9 days of COVID, but I did not have any symptoms whatsoever. I had no
Lucky,
fever at all
yeah.
for 9 days, but I was COVID positive. What's happening?
What happened is that your vaccine trained you very, very well. You see, when you actually throw in the spike protein into your body, there are many, many different ways in which you can train. Think of the fist, you can see on my screen. There are knuckles which can respond to, the fingers, the joints, and even just the flesh. You had the right response such that when the COVID struck you, that response dealt with the existing variant very, very well. So he was a good student after vaccination. But for many of us, we were learning it wrong. So the teacher said, learn the whole fist, learn to fight the whole fist. But we end up only picking up one corner, perhaps my index finger knuckle. And in turn, I only could deal with those that were targeting there. And then when something comes along, it's like, it's a different knuckle. Oh, I'm going to fail this exam. And you end up falling sick. And the more you fail, the worse it is. In the case of Daphne, 11 days illness. But 11 days illness isn't too bad. The long COVID's really terrible. We're talking about months and months and months where they can't cope.
I mean, I kind of had a brain fog for a long time, but
Yes.
we can talk about it.
All right, it's 8:19.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you by Putian. Putian is celebrating.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about updated vaccines and things like that. Here's a question on our Facebook page, which I find interesting. This is from Glenn Chu. Given that COVID has evolved and mutated, are our current ART test kits still working? Because the virus has mutated.
And some of the test kits have expiry dates as well, don't
that
they?
expiry is expiry. But given that if it's still within its expiry date, is that test kit still
valid?
Valid.
This is a great question. And
Well
we can't
done,
do it
Glenn.
better than Kiss. Okay, so spike protein is the one that has been changing and changing and changing. And in turn, that's how it's evading immunity, because the spike protein is how the body fights against it. But it is not the most commonly produced protein by the virus. The most commonly produced protein is the N nucleoside nucleocapsid protein, the M protein. The M protein produced most, so the test antigen looks for the M protein, which hasn't changed much. So the test kit still works beautifully. It's as if they changed their head, but the body, arms, and legs are pretty much the same, and they're looking for body, arms, and legs.
Right, okay.
So I had COVID for 11 days, only once, last October. But I had the first 2 vaccine shots before that, and I haven't gotten any vaccine shots since then. When is the right time for me to go get another shot?
Scientifically, the best time to do is wait for 5 to 6 months, because your antibodies will mature and gets better.
So it's
After
been a
each
year
infection.
though. So
It's been a year. So you're free. You can go for any update.
Let's go, Daphne.
But Daphne,
But
I won't dare Daphne to go there now.
Why?
But because the new XBB variant vaccine will be available in the next few weeks.
Oh, it's not out
so
yet.
we
Okay,
can't
so
get
we
it
have the
now.
Pfizer, which is mRNA. We have Moderna, and honestly, the way in which they make it is really very fast. So we have it updated.
Like an iPhone.
No, I wouldn't really say that it's like an iPhone. It's actually like an iPhone OS.
It's
or
the operating
Android
system,
Operating
yeah.
system.
The
And
software keeps updating.
Yeah, every while and then you get this thing, please update your phone.
Yeah.
It is just like the vaccines. You're getting updated, protecting yourself against all the virus. So if you're going for the shot, you say, I'm going for a phone update.
Right.
So you spoke about long COVID earlier. What about for those people that are still experiencing loss of smell and
Symptoms.
taste? Because I had it for only the length of the time that I had COVID, like about 10 days. So I couldn't taste or smell anything. But I've heard of some people where they've lost it for more than a year. Will it ever come back?
Could it be psychological?
No, it is not psychological. That's terrible.
Yeah,
of you.
Glenn,
Sorry.
it's not all in the head.
Everyone, can we just give him a slap?
Yes,
Okay.
a virtual slap.
So the joke which I had, which was rather rude, is that with loss of taste and smell, you end up not eating much.
Yeah.
In turn, you do lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay. You could actually set up a slimming center with everyone giving. Everyone lost.
That's terrible.
But it's
okay.
really terrible.
Yeah.
Because for a week, for 2 weeks, you're fine. But there are people for 3 months, 6 months, for a year, and they can't smell anything. And that's bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you think that's bad, but there are some people who has a dysfunctional smell. A BO that comes along smells like Chanel. And Chanel that comes along smells like really bad BO or rotting poop.
Okay.
So you actually have a dysfunctional smell to it.
Distorted. Oh,
Distorted.
no.
It's really terrible. So it's the worst. It's really one of the worst things. And we don't have treatment.
Oh, dear.
We don't have treatment for this. We can try some steroids, but majority of the time it doesn't really work.
So what has actually happened? Has the COVID destroyed something, your receptors?
Yes, you can think of it as the nerve receptors in the nose are all damaged.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You really need to recover on its own. And the good news is the cell body, that means the nucleus, is right there in the brain. As it comes out, it will try to repair itself slowly. But it's going to take a long time, maybe at 1 mm a day. So it may take a long time before you recover.
Wow.
But there are some who don't. So
dear.
my heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I mean, let's talk about vaccines once again, right? Because, I mean, there are so many people who, put out stuff on social media and all that. And it's scary sometimes, and I feel like, the more people who say, negative things about vaccinations and all that, there'll be more people, of course, who will want to avoid getting vaccinated. So, I mean, what is your stand on this? Are vaccines really that harmful? I mean, while it does good in preventing infection and keeping us safe, what about all that bad publicity about vaccinations?
Great
People.
question. No, this is why I like Kiss 92. Okay, we actually deal with the hard questions, but in a little quizzing way. Okay, so there are people who suffered from the vaccinations. Let's be very honest. And but if you actually look at the numbers who suffered, it's about 1 per 1,000 or less. And we do have patients who have eczema. who gets flares or eczemas. We have people who felt uncomfortable in the chest. There was chest discomfort. We do even have people who actually end up with myocarditis. But that's really in the rare realms, in the case of 1 in 100,000. But to put things in perspective, if you were to get COVID-19, your flare for eczema will be at least 1% or more. So we are talking about a greater risk. Your risk of heart attacks is at least 1 to 2% if you were to get COVID-19. Now, in the case of myocarditis, your risk is also about 1% or more. So we are going from a high risk to low risk. So one of the analogies which I use is this: when you see the expressway and we make a dash across, no, please don't do this. This is just for analogy's sake.
Please don't
Do
reiterate.
this. Don't do this. The chance of us making it across the expressway when we are alert and not drunk, is chances are we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but some idiots still do it, and then they still end up with a problem. The alternative, and we do recommend, is to take the overhead bridge and cross and use the overhead bridge. But have people fallen on the bridge? They have. Okay, people have fallen on the bridge, they have grazed themselves, then they had a bad knock, and they got old amas and uncles and aunties who had a bleed in the brain because they fell off the stairs or there was something slippery. So unfortunate accidents still do happen. So what we are doing is, when we take the vaccines, is going from a high risk to a low risk, and we encourage everyone to, because if we don't, we'll end up with just what US, Europe is going through. Bad cases of COVID-19 overwhelms the healthcare system, and more deaths.
Okay, we've got a question from YouTube. Someone asked, what is the vaccination recommendation for children? Maybe you can answer that when we go back on air.
Okay, stand by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
All right, let's take a look at it. KJE towards the PIE, a vehicle broken down. This is after Sungai Tengah. Look out for that. Other than that, we don't have too much except for the TPE towards the SLE. We have an accident after Punggol Road exit. There's quite a bit of congestion there. Stay within the speed limit, please. Make sure you've got everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our superstar for this morning is the one and only Dr. Leong Hoe Nam from the Rofi Clinic. He is the infectious disease specialist that we love talking to. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. You missed a lot. We discussed a lot earlier on, but please tune in, go into the Facebooks, etc. So coming back, kids, can they get vaccinated? The answer is yes, you can. 6 months and above. Why 6 months? Because the immune system isn't really developed, isn't sufficiently mature. 6 months onwards, they can. Now, many people say, look, the kids actually do quite well. I agree. The kids do better. They cope with COVID much better. But we do have people who fall sick quite badly with COVID. So I had many patients where the kids cannot cope with the infection, end up with persistent inflammation. They end up being in hospital for about 10 to 14 days, and we have to give steroids. And that's quite a common phenomenon at least 1 to 3% of the time. So, and when these parents who didn't get their children vaccinated say, what should I do now? The answer is get vaccinated, give your kid hybrid immunity, and you'll be fine. So my kids, but of course they're much older, they have been vaccinated totally. So number two, if you're fine, there is a rare chance of about 1 in 10,000. Previously, it was about 1 in 7,000 chance of something called MIS-C. It's a terrible disease. Think of it as Kawasaki. Kawasaki is really quite, well, many Singapore parents know Kawasaki, a lot of inflammation that happens, the heart gets affected, the kid can actually die. And
Why was it named after a motorcycle?
It happened to be a Japanese. It's actually Kawasaki Fujimoto. So it's the Japanese who identified the disease.
Oh, right.
Obviously, it was a little bit more common in the Orientals.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just went on Kawasaki. So it's too much inflammation that occurs about 1 in 7,000 to 10,000, less with Omicron now. But when you do get it, the child will be very, very sick, may require intensive care. And by being vaccinated, you have at least a 30 to 50% reduction risk of getting MIS-C. So again, we are not trying to prevent everything. We're just going from a high risk to low risk. And you think of the vaccines as that way because COVID is not another flu or cold.
Okay.
Dr. Leong, Michael Pei has come on our thing, and I've often wondered this as well. So Michael says that everyone in his house has had COVID. He's had his jabs. Is there a possibility that he has also had COVID, but it never manifested
Like
at all?
asymptomatic. Like Glenn.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you
Totally.
can have the asymptomatic groups, you can have the symptomatic groups, and you have the very symptomatic groups. So Glenn is one of those who were asymptomatic. No cough, no nose, but the nose thing is positive. And for him, I'll just say that he's the right student who responded well to the vaccine tutorship. So he knew how to respond. So good for him. You just have to thank your parents and thank God for having the right genes.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason you checked was because your wife came down with
Yes.
COVID,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Correct.
And we also have
And she didn't
our-
want to stay in her room. She wanted to come out. I'm like, okay lah, baby, come out.
We men suffer for our women.
Oh
the
my
women
gosh.
will not.
Yeah.
High five, Dr. Leong!
even our
We're heroes.
our producer
Stop.
Shalini has never had
COVID.
COVID-19 that she knows of. Is there any way to tell whether she's had COVID-19?
We can do a blood test for you to see if you have. Remember the N protein? We can actually do the N protein antibodies.
How long
That's
does it last? I mean, does it last, like if she had it 2 years ago, will it still show
Yes,
up?
the antibody is good
Oh.
enough for detection.
Oh, Shalini, we should get a blood test for you.
Interesting.
Does that mean
Yes.
those N proteins stay with you forever?
No, it's the N protein antibodies. So
To
the
fight
body
the-
learns to
to
fight
fight
against
it.
It's a-
Right, okay,
It's a
okay.
mark.
So
Okay.
if she has the N protein
It's she's the N protein
Antibody.
antibodies, okay.
But
That
don't
makes
you
it-
get it when you get the vaccine anyway?
No, because only the spike protein goes into the vaccine.
Ah, okay.
So
okay,
how much
okay.
blood do we have to draw from her?
Not
for
much.
this?
Uh,
How many
you
vials?
come to me, I throw a bit more blood because Uncle Glenn say take more blood.
do you,
You
really
should
ask
be
him to
scared.
take more blood?
no,
Sounds
it's
so
less-
unnecessary.
Okay, it's really less than what
A
the
blood test.
women lose blood for,
Oh.
so that we
Okay.
can have children.
Yes.
I mean, women are the best.
They are.
Thank
we
you.
can't live without them.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
There would be no
you
world
wouldn't
without
be
us.
alive without women. None of you boys.
Okay, so you do a blood. So for those people that are interested in knowing whether they've actually had COVID-19 before without actually having symptoms or being tested, they can get that test
Yes,
done.
you can.
Can they
So-
go to your
and
clinic and get it
They,
done?
they can do it at my clinic. Can go to any clinic and ask for the N antibodies to call.
Yeah,
And
but why would they?
antibodies.
Seriously, why would they?
Seriously.
You know, if I were them, I'd just go around, bragging.
I never got
had
COVID.
Yeah, the bragging rights better.
COVID virgins.
Exactly. Okay, wait, one last question before we go back on the Big Show TV. And I think this might be a question on people's minds. So it's almost the end of the year, and usually during this time, people go for their flu shots.
Yes.
All right, so the flu shots, necessary or not?
The flu shot is good, okay? In fact, I would recommend for everybody, those who are at risk, usual, the elderly, the immunocompromised, etc., you take the flu shot so that you don't fall sick during your holidays. And when you take the flu shot, you form part of the barrier, blocking the infections in Singapore and helping your grandparents, your children back at home so that they don't fall sick. Every time when someone takes a shot, you are taking one for the family, one for the country, so you can block and make Singapore safer.
Do you have a kids show? Because I feel like you should have one. Like, just so
He's good
animated.
with the kids
I
and
love
the
it.
adults.
I know. I feel like a kid. I mean, I'm a big kid.
Okay, let's go on the Big Show TV once again and continue to talk to Dr. Leong. Okay, meantime, here's Jesse McCartney with Beautiful Soul on Kiss 92, all the great songs in one place.
So sorry.
Question. So we were saying that you can take the flu shot. My question is, if I want to take vaccine at my age, right? There's vaccine, there's flu shots, there's pneumococcal.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't make up words, FD.
No,
Yeah.
pneumococcal is
No, it's true.
I've
it's
gone
an
for that
important
already,
shot.
by the way.
It's an
I've
important
done
shot,
mine.
yeah.
What time frames
Pneumonia.
should I have in between each shot?
Okay, so scientifically, you can actually take them all on the same day. But Ministry of Health doesn't want you to do that. They want you to
Yeah.
kind of spread it out. And in some cases, we do take them at the same time. So, so number one, yes, go. What I would do is I would start taking my vaccines now. For example, FD comes into my clinic. I'll say, we have the XBB coming along later. So I'll give you the pneumococcal and the influenza shots now.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you can actually go for the XBB variant vaccine. So schedule it, time it, and then you can get all the shots done. But don't push it to the end. Okay, push it at the end is going to be a bit of a rush.
What do you
is
mean?
pushing-
Yeah, what do you mean
Push
by
it, it
pushing
means that you're going to travel on Thursday,
Oh.
on Tuesday, Monday, I need to get all my shots.
Yeah.
Now, that's being silly. Okay, space them out so so you don't have a rush. In truth, the immunity can cope with this. We are challenged with at least 50 new viruses, antigens, food, etc. every day, and the body can cope with it. And I can give you 50 shots, but we don't do that.
please
That's
don't
being
do-
silly. Okay, so FD can come to my clinic, give it now, then 2 weeks later take the XBB variant vaccine.
Okay.
So Jennifer actually asked a question that I want to ask because I'm headed to Paris in a month. How many days prior should I take a flu shot before my holiday?
2 weeks. 2 weeks
So
for
Is
the
it
flu
at
shot.
least 2 weeks or before
Actually,
2 weeks?
the answer is about 10 to 14 days. After the shot, it is about 10 to 14 days
The
for the vaccine to
incubation.
kick in.
So by right, 2 weeks before my holiday or 3 weeks before my holiday, I can
Yeah, that's
already
fine.
get it.
Yeah, actually, the answer is you should get it now.
Like, as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah, because flu virus found throughout the whole year. Okay, it's not just if you really have to time it, you time it 2 to 3 weeks before. But my suggestion is this afternoon, come down to the clinic and
Go get
say,
it done.
I am Daphne. Okay,
You
and I'll
need
give you a massive discount because you are a kiss.
You need to give her a shot for bed bugs because it's an
I
infestation
don't think
right
there's
now.
a shot for that.
We'll give you like apple cider
Immunity.
vinegar and let it come out through your.
Oh
through
my
your,
goodness.
I'll go see you
Oh,
next
no,
week.
I want to do the question on the kids one. So 6
kids,
months old
okay.
and above,
Yeah.
you can go for the COVID vaccine. It's really, really very safe. Now, number two, there is the Pfizer option as well as Moderna options for the kids and above. So go ahead, get vaccinated. You will need to split them out at least 1 month apart for your first shots.
Okay.
Number one. And then you need to wait for about 5 or 6 months after your COVID infection. And this will really help your child. Now, kids do much better with the vaccine. They don't end up too badly, and they do learn much better than elderly. So in other words, you have a much better bang for your buck, or rather bang for your shot, if the kids get the vaccine.
Okay.
Or you work at Kiss 92 and go to Dr. Leong's school.
Actually, what
clinic.
you do, and you can have this little Kiss 92 sticker.
And they all wear a badge,
yeah,
a little
yeah.
badge that they wear.
Or if your car's got a Kiss 92 decal.
Now, Dr. Leong, so for the flu jab as well as the XBB, right?
Yes.
You were talking about. Now, after someone goes for the vaccination, how long before they can... How long do they have to rest in terms of like working out? Because there are many people who are very active these days. Either they run or they go to the gym.
And also because
Basically,
Glenn has started working out.
Absolutely, every day.
And lost
So-
a bunch of weight. That's impressive.
true.
by the
I
way.
see it
and
on
that's
the
important
chest.
also. I take Dr. Leong's advice. You know, he feels like, you know, when people are, you know, not...
Healthy.
Not
They
fit.
are healthy.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so how long before someone can work out again after the jab?
Okay, so I think in general we talk about 2 weeks.
That's a
in
long
2
time.
weeks. Now, before COVID vaccines, honestly, this we don't talk about it for influenza vaccines or pneumococcal vaccines. Just rest for the day and the next day and you're fine.
Oh.
But for COVID vaccines, there are guidelines saying that you shouldn't exercise for 2 weeks. But for the rest of the vaccines, we just say rest for the day or the next
I
day
see.
and thereafter.
Oh my goodness! But 2 weeks is going to
good.
put you right where you
For the-
started again.
But
To
if not,
work out
it'll
again.
affect your...
The respiratory. Oh,
You
but
are
system, yeah.
good enough to go grocery shopping with your wife if you still do that and carry the groceries.
Yeah.
As you carry your
Still,
groceries,
yeah.
you can lift
You
it
lift.
up,
You
and
survive.
down, up and down. The women, come on, get your men
So-
to do work for you.
So what you're saying is the trick is not to get that heart rate up too much.
Yeah.
So you can do like light swimming, brisk walking,
Yes,
stuff like that. Not
absolutely.
sedentary, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, when you say light swimming, it's the breaststroke. Because
Yes,
once you do
correct.
the freestyle, that's a little
A little bit of
much.
yoga
Yes.
and stuff like that
Yeah,
should
that's
be
fine.
okay. Okay.
Stretching exercises.
Okay.
A little bit of Pilates is perfectly fine.
Okay. Okay.
What about alcohol?
Oh, that's a
Because
good
I have some
question.
friends that were like, not supposed to drink within a week, but then they got the shot
Of
and then
course.
just went.
Celebrate.
Yeah, went to celebrate.
Okay, so I would encourage them not to take it for the day and the day after the
Oh,
vaccine.
okay.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Just in case you really feel bad and you can't tell, is it the hangover or is it the vaccine? But thereafter, it's fine. You can
Okay.
take alcohol. But
48
again,
hours.
everything in moderation, please. Okay, I just want to touch very quickly. Do you know Singapore's called the blue zone? The
Yes, we were just talking about it the other day.
This
Yeah.
week,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, and one of the reasons why we are in the blue zone, at the end of the day, is just about exercise, keeping fit, moving. Not moving, just you have to move your butt and you get going. So, what Glenn's doing is great. We do our exercises, our walks. We do as many walks as we can. That will keep us in the blue zone. You know what? My challenge to you, Kiss 92 fans, I just don't want to be a blue zone for Singapore. I want it to be the ultra blue zone in Singapore. And the data is very clear.
Yeah.
Look at the COVID, before COVID and after COVID. Singapore life expectancy fell by a little bit, so about 0.3. Honestly, it's no big deal. And that's because we had our vaccinations. But if you look at the other countries who didn't get the vaccinations, where the pickup rate was 50% or less, or 60%, as in some big countries or big regions, they lost about 3 years of life expectancy.
Wow.
And a lot of this happens with the social media. If you are the sort of social media who sees and shares, see it. My question to you is, see it. Ask yourself, is it real or fake? Number two, do what I call the accuracy nudge. Pause for a while, think for a while, is it accurate or fake? If it's fake, then you have become a chainmail sender. We hate chainmail senders. Okay, we
Agreed.
hate fake news. So don't share for the sake of sharing.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, is it accurate or not accurate? It's called the accuracy nudge, and there is scientific basis. Do that. Don't spread fake news. Don't spread misinformation because it confuses. Unfortunately, the Hamas-Israeli war, it really hurts everyone.
It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the fake news just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Call the problem, and don't add salt and pepper.
Be
to
part
it.
of the solution. Yeah.
Yes.
Mom and Dad, I hope you're listening. Fake news. Don't spread.
Yes, Mom, also. I also want to say, just with that whole life expectancy thing with Singapore only going down 0.3%. I mean,
Yes, 0.3 years.
0.3 years, sorry,
okay.
percent. Sorry. But it does make sense for the country that coined the term scared to die. We are kiasu. So we're
Kiasi.
literally, kiasi, sorry.
Actually, I'm
Scared
going
to lose.
I'm going to say this. I met many elderly, and they're really not scared to die.
Yeah.
What they are scared of is can't die.
Oh.
Okay, so the
Drag
Shall
it
we,
on,
shall we
yeah.
mention that on air?
Yeah,
Drag
yeah,
it
let's
on,
do
yeah.
that on there.
This is going to be the last talk set, so
Okay.
we'll wrap,
We'll wrap
as well.
it.
Yeah. Pink with Perfect right here on Kiss 92, all the great songs in one place. We have Dr. Leong Hoe Nam with us because we all want to be in the pink of health.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
ultra blue zone.
That's right. Dr. Leong, of course, is an infectious disease specialist from the Rofi Clinic, and everyone knows Dr. Leong Ho Nam.
Yeah, and if you
Very
want to
true.
see him at his clinic, he is located at Mount Elizabeth Novena Hospital. Right after this, he's heading there to open the clinic at 9 a.m.
So just earlier, Daphne, you mentioned what? Kiasi. Singaporeans
No,
are
I
kiasi.
said because we were talking about how life expectancy dropped, but only by 0.3 years in Singapore, and some other countries it went as far down as 3
years.
years.
Yeah.
So I said it's funny because, but what would you expect from the country that coined the term "scared to die," which is kiasi, right? We all
Okay.
kiasi.
So I've met many elderly people, and they are not afraid of dying. Okay, and what they're really afraid is they can't die. And it comes to the terms that in Singapore, you can afford to die, you can afford to live, but you can't afford to be stuck in between. And that's the biggest wish which I have for everyone.
Especially if you're not like in the pink of health.
Yeah, for dragging
or
it
you
on,
haven't made
right?
your millions. Okay, so when you end up with a terrible stroke and a heart attack, it stops everyone from where you are going. You can't go out for your walks, you can't go out for exercises, you can't meet your friends, etc. Life becomes changing for you. You can't even pee properly, poop properly. You need someone to
With
attend
help,
to you.
help,
That's
yeah.
help with you.
That's my dad right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either the family has their chip in to help, you get domestic help, or you get nursing aids and stuff like that. It's really terrible. So my biggest wish for all the KISS fans and all Singaporeans is that we live well and good, healthy, good in the mind, including mental health, good in the body. We can walk and do our things and eat our favorite noodles, rice, or whatever every day until the last day of our life. And I can tell you, we're going to get more and more people who live more than 100 years old.
Yeah.
And if you were to take your vaccines regularly, do all your exercises as what Glenn does and everybody else here, then you're going to really have a good chance at being healthy all the way to 100 years old. Don't get a stroke, don't get a heart attack, because it will mime you.
So we don't aim for a curve downwards, we aim for a sharp drop. Live all the way to the end and then just go
Spot on.
instead of just dragging on.
Okay,
right?
so all of us have a thriller index. It's a nice, gentle slope downwards. Don't exaggerate it. Don't trigger it by having sudden dips. Every time when you dip, you have problems getting back to where you were, and you're going to dip again. So once you have one dip, more and more dips will happen, and you crash out worse and faster than what you are planned for.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Leong, for being with us today. Any last words before we let you go?
The honest truth is this. COVID-19 is going to stay with us. In fact, when I die, COVID-19 is still going to be around. If we are fortunate, then it's just COVID-19. If we are not fortunate, it's going to mix with a human strain, another human strain, or it mixes with an animal strain, and we're going to have COVID 23, 24, 25, etc. It's going to be disaster. So this is a problem that doesn't go away. Guys, we need to learn to live with the problem, learn to cope with the problem. At this point in time, the best thing is still getting yourself with an updated vaccine. If you cannot afford to work, if you have to work like Glenn, Angel, Daphne, and myself, I'll take the shot.
Again.
For people who have made the millions,
No need.
He can
like
retire.
FD,
Again.
he can
Yes.
retire, but he will take it so that he can spend his millions.
Yeah.
There you go.
You need to
So
be able
lunch
to
is on you.
enjoy it.
Lunch is on you, FD.
Okay, a big hand for Dr. Leong. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to Dr. Leong Hoe Nam, infectious disease specialist from the Rofi Clinic. We'll see you soon, Dr.
See
Leong.
you. Bye.